everyone, and welcome to Voice of the Coast. I am Chris Hunter, filling in for Danika Foley Long this evening. The topic is boat racing, drag boat racing to be specific. Shawn Jetton, the owner and president of the Deep South Racing Association. Appreciate your time coming in here.
Oh, not a problem. Thank you for inviting us.
For the first time in a few years, the drag boats are coming back here to Morgan City for an event coming up July 24th and 25th. Go ahead and give us a breakdown on what's happening.
Yeah, we're going to be starting races at 11 o'clock on Saturday and Sunday at Russo's Landing, which is across from Lake End Park on Highway 70. $10 admission. $10 admission, $10 an ice chest. There will be food and drinks sold at the site, so there won't be no cooking allowed. We race till about 7 o'clock, 800 feet drag boat racing, outboards. And we're going to be giving a proceed donation to the Morgan City High School Bass Fishing Club right here in town, so it should be a good time.
Okay, now I'll admit, I know less about drag boat racing than I know about automobile drag racing. And I don't know much about automobile drag racing. But one thing I do know, the standard length is quarter mile. Now, you mentioned 800 feet. That's a change from a few years ago, if I'm not mistaken.
It's a bit shorter. Quarter mile is 1,325 feet, and we shortened it up to 800 feet. Just because as time went, technology, the boats got faster, and they're light boats, and as they got faster, they started having more accidents. So shorten the track to try to have less boats upside down.
And I understand that, of course, there's obviously no design drag racing facilities that you're working on. You have to go with the natural waterway. You even have a setup if 800 feet is not enough, correct? Right,
yeah. We actually also can race 660 feet if we get somewhere and the conditions are real bad or not long enough to race 800 feet. We'll shorten it up to 660.
Is there some kind of national sanctioning body out there that covers these things, or do you set things up on your own?
No, we pretty much set things up on our own. There's, it's not like APBA. Drag boat racing is a small community if you look at it nationwide. There's about 3 other clubs that I know of nationwide, maybe more, but ourselves, DSRA, and ODBA, the 2 biggest clubs in the nation.
Is it mostly a regional thing in the South, or?
Yeah, pretty much. We range from Texas all the way to the East Coast, to the Florida area and South Carolina area as far as outboard drag boat racing is, and as far north as Tennessee.
Okay. Now this event, which is called Battle of the Basin.
Actually, it has a change in name this year.
Okay.
Yep. It's the Eastern Atchafalaya Nationals. Yeah, that's the only thing different about the event is the name.
Well, that sounds more official.
Yeah.
That sounds more like a big organizational type kind of thing. But the racers themselves, I understand there's only a handful of racers in this area that are part of your organization. Where do most of the guys come from?
Yeah, there's about 4 guys from the Morgan City, Bell River area, maybe a couple more. But we have guys that come from, like I say, Texas, Florida, South Carolina, Tennessee, all over the southern United States. We even have some guys come as far as Arizona. Just depends how they feel at the time and if they want to travel that far out.
How did you get involved in this? Were you racing at some point?
Yeah. Actually, there's 3 years I'm out of the driver's seat. I've just been working on the boats now. I started off back in the early 2000s when DSRA got started by my buddy. And I went to a boat race, and then I went to another one, and I ended up driving to Florida, buy a boat, and next thing you know, I had a new passion.
What does it take? I'm sure there's got to be some sponsorships involved for the guys that are out there, and I'm sure all the drivers own their own boats for the most part.
Yeah. That's why I say it's a pretty expensive hobby. Some drivers might get a few $100 from somebody to put a name on a boat, but there's not too many sponsors out there. So you have to be a hard worker to afford your boat. But we have some lower end beginners classes, like Pro Stock and the Lake Racer classes. You probably could get racing with used equipment in that style boat for about 15,000, and then if you want to race all the way up to Pro Gas and Unlimited, you could be in for 125,000 just
Wow.
to have the right motors and
Wow.
yeah.
And the prize money
Oh
is,
Lord,
is
that
not all that
might
much.
pay your gas back and forth to the race.
It's got to be a passion. You
yeah.
don't get in it for the money, do you?
Right? No. That again, that depends on sponsors in the town, you know, to get prize money up. But no matter what, on a big event, it's still, if you blow up a motor, it's not even going to cover the cost of that.
All right. And with that, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. More Voice of the Coast. Stay with us. Welcome back to Voice of the Coast. We are talking about the Deep South Racing Association's Eastern Atchafalaya Nationals. Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shawn Jetton, president and owner of the Deep South Racing Association, drag boat racing event coming up on July 24th and 25th. You're from the St. Martinville area,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Do you kind of consider that area the home course of the DSRA?
Yeah, because the previous owner, my friend, he just lived up the road from me, you know, about 30 minutes, so it's never left that area.
Yeah. How many events do y'all try to put on a year?
We try to put on at least 6 events, a minimum of 4. 7 would be a little too much, but if someone offered us a race site, it's hard to turn them down.
Yeah. Now, when you call this one the Nationals, is there some kind of a point system going on that the drivers can accumulate, and we're culminating in some kind of championship event here?
Yeah, we do have a point system, and we will have a high points champion, but this is not the final event. This is not considered the finals. We just call it the Nationals because, you know, it's not a world final because nobody's going to come from across the world to race us, so we call it national events.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay, let's go back and kind of review what's going on. First of all, you said that the proceeds are going to help out the Morgan City Bass Club, Morgan City High School Bass Club. Are those guys helping you put this event on at all?
Yeah. Actually, they're going to come in on Saturday evening and Sunday evening and help us just make sure all the trash bags in the dumpster. That way we don't leave the parish no mess. You know, everything will be cleaned up just like when we showed up. And we're going to be collecting at the gate $10 admission fee, and that's how we raise the money to pay for the event. And once all the bills are paid, the proceeds can go to the Bass Club to help them out with their yearly expenses.
Mm-hmm. And in addition to the gate fee, there is a fee if you want to bring your own food. There will be food there, but
well, no food allowed, but drinks in the ice chest because
okay.
A lot of people like to have beer. And we don't sell alcohol on the premises, so everyone has to bring their own. But it's $10 an ice chest for admission. But the food will be sold by food booths on site, but no cooking's allowed.
Okay. And this is a 2-day event. Is there some kind of a elimination process going on from start to finish?
Correct. It's very similar, just like a softball tournament. On Saturday you race, and if you lose, you go in the losers bracket. So you make at least 2 passes, a winner's bracket and a loser's bracket, and you have one winner at the end of the day of that event. And then the second day is the same thing again, except the winner gets more points for the Sunday to make so there's no tiebreakers, and that's how you get the winner for the weekend.
And this is the first time y'all been here since I believe about 2017.
Yeah.
The water affects you, the weather affects you, probably not as severely as the powerboat racing we've seen out on the lake, where those guys, even the lightest chop can shut those guys down. Y'all can handle a little bit more weather.
Right. Yeah, on the lake, the wind has a long time to pick up power and push waves, where on the river, it's more of a north and south deal with the wind. You know, it's going to be either or, right. Just the way it channels down with the trees and on the banks. But we're only racing 800 feet in a straight line, so as long as the winds are, you know, at least below 30 miles an hour, we can race straight into the wind. And if it gets rough enough, we'll turn the course around, or sometimes have to call it a day, you know, just safety reasons.
And the water, it is possible for the water to be too high, as what affected you in 2017.
Yeah, exactly. Especially over here where you had a lot of locals dealing with water problems on their personal homes. It wouldn't be a great event. You know, the community is in distress, and the racers that actually race from here, more worried about their homes and their families' homes than go and race a boat.
Right, okay. July 24th and 25th, what's the green flag time again?
Green flags, 11 a.m. both days. We'll run till 7 p.m. each night.
Okay. And if you don't get finished by 7, you just keep on going till
No,
darkness?
that all depends, because the permit has 7 o'clock on it, but that would be the Coast Guard and the Sheriff Department that's taking care of the water patrol. That would be their call.
All right.
Yeah.
That is the Eastern Atchafalaya Nationals of the Deep South Racing Association. We hope to see you out there, Shawn. Thank you for coming in.
Oh, thank you very much.
All right, and stay with us. More Voice of the Coast coming up in just a moment.
Welcome to the Voice of the Coast. I am your host, Danika Foley-Long, and I'm here with Dr. Eric Melancon, who is our coroner for St. Mary Parish. And we haven't had you in here for a minute now, so welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, so of course the conversation is still pretty much the same. We're talking COVID, but there's a little bit of a change in our conversation about COVID. We're now talking about this Delta variant. Can you kind of explain what that means?
Well, anytime we have viral activity, it does tend to change its morphology, meaning it becomes a different virus. Same basic components, but acts a little bit differently. What we know typically now about the Delta variant is that it seems to be more infective than the Corona-19 virus, which that's kind of hard to believe because COVID-19 was fairly, contagious. The Delta variant, in the people I've seen with it, seems to be a little less severe.
Okay.
Which again, most people feel bad and have flu-like illness. I do think where the COVID-19 people, majority of them had very minimal symptoms whatsoever. The people with Delta tend to have a little bit more, but not as severe as some of the COVID-19 patients.
Okay, so are we seeing that there's maybe some type of hospitalization? Are there deaths surrounding Delta variant?
The death rate in Delta variant is still there. Majority of the people who have died from the Delta variant are unvaccinated people, with like 99.2% being unvaccinated people. Those who have been vaccinated tend to have pretty good protection against the disease, especially the ones who've had the mRNA vaccines, i.e. the Pfizer and Moderna.
Okay. Question for you, and I don't know if many people are talking about this, but are we looking at maybe another lockdown?
I hope not. I feel at this point we've had the availability of vaccines. We've provided enough education. I think people are either committed one way or the other. You're either going to get the vaccine and offer yourself some protection or run your risk of getting the disease. Again, most people get the disease, aren't going to die of it, but even now, we're still having 2 or 3 deaths per month who are COVID-19 positive. So I do encourage everybody to get the vaccine, choose the Pfizer or Moderna. If you can't figure out where to get it, call my office and we'll get the vaccine to you. We schedule them at my private clinic on Wednesdays, and we want to make sure people have access to it.
How can someone contact you?
My office number is 985-384-7288. That's not the coroner's office.
Right.
Call my regular office, and that's 985-384-7288.
Right, okay. So here's a question that I got to throw out. We actually, prior to this conversation here, we were talking about, do you think the reason why folks are shying away from taking this vaccine is because it was developed so quickly?
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of conspiracy theories about it was developed very quickly, which I agree. I mean, we first learned of the disease in end of December of 2019, and 4 months later we had a vaccine. Now, there was technology out there to allow us the ability to develop vaccines fairly rapidly, which, if that's really the way it worked, that's great, but it kind of upsets me that we hadn't had a vaccine for HIV or hepatitis C in that respect. So I've also heard other conspiracy theories that the vaccine's been there because this is a man-made virus and it was a biological weapon and all kinds of things. The key is the data that we have now shows that the vaccine is very effective at preventing the disease, number one, and the data is there that even if you get the disease, you certainly have a much less likely chance of having a poor outcome.
One thing we know for sure, and that money is the motivator.
Money's always the motivator.
Yeah. So we'll say that for another show where I have a lot more protectionists. Let's not talk about it. We're gonna go to a break, but I want to talk about something when we come back. You mentioned Pfizer, you mentioned Moderna. You did not mention Johnson & Johnson. We'll talk about that when we get back. Come on back here on the Voice of the Coast. Welcome back to the Voice of the Coast with yours truly. I'm here with Dr. Eric Melancon, our coroner for St. Mary Parish. Now, we were just talking about Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, and Moderna. However, you did not mention Johnson & Johnson as one of the two options. Why are you not talking about Johnson & Johnson? Of course, we've kind of heard it in the news, widespread news, but what's your thoughts on it?
Well, I think there's too much unknown with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. In fact, the state sent me some Johnson & Johnson vaccine for an event in Patterson. I do think the vaccine works. It's too much discrepancy with
There's a lot
the
of
use.
uncertainty.
And honestly, I want people to have confidence in when they receive the vaccine. I don't want them to second guess a vaccine and go out and keep people from doing it. Personally, I've had the Pfizer vaccine. My wife and kids have had the Moderna.
The difference is also, I mean, with the Johnson & Johnson, it's a one-shot. Oh, bless you. It's a one-shot deal. However, with Pfizer and Moderna, you have to go in for a second time. And sometimes, you have to kind of stay up on it. It's a 21-day in between, waiting period.
21 to 28.
Yeah. So you also have, this event that you have coming up, they gave you the Johnson & Johnson. So really, now what are you doing in place of that? Because it's still going to go on.
Well, we're going to convert it from a vaccination event to a sign-up event. And again, we're giving the vaccine at my office. And rather than try and go out there and give people just one dose, we want to make sure they get both. The only way to really adequately do that is to get them signed up and go through the office. That way we can clump them because the vaccine comes in vials of 10 and we certainly don't want to waste vaccine if we can help it. Because once you open a vial, you got to give it within 6 hours.
Yes.
So we're encouraging people to go. You don't have to be a patient of mine. You don't even have to have insurance. Mm-hmm. We do ask that you provide your insurance card because we forward that information to your insurance company to let them know, but you're not billed anything for it. So it's a really good deal, and I'm afraid in the near future the vaccine's not going to be free anymore. So I think if you're going to take the vaccine, take it now. Get it while it's good.
But also, too, I mean, do you think there's going to be an annual vaccination required?
I don't know. I'm sure the vaccine company would love you to take their shot annually, just like the flu vaccine. But I don't know about that yet. I suspect it will be kind of encouraged. They talked about needing a booster shot with both the Pfizer and Moderna initially because it might only last 3 months, and then they said no, we don't need a booster shot. Now we do. That's been the biggest issue, and I understand why people are hesitant to get the vaccine. It's because I think the national media jumps on some bandwagon here or there instead of looking at the data and the facts.
And we kind of look at when it first hit. We didn't know if it was on the surface,
Correct.
If it's airborne, if it's person to person. I mean, how do you know?
Well,
I mean, we're still kind of learning what's going on.
Like I said last year when we were talking about COVID, we wouldn't know as much then as we were going to know this summer. And right now we know a lot more. We still don't know a lot about it. I mean, we're learning about all these variants and their virility and how contagious they can be. But we continue the learning process over and over, and hopefully we can present that to communities to where it's useful information instead of one day it's here and one day it's there. And you know, I don't like that type. I'm not a reflex. I'd rather research it and decide, you know, is this really good for our community?
How do you feel about the voluntary mask, not really mandate, but because it's no longer mandated, it's more of a on a voluntary basis for the schools?
I feel that if you feel like you need to wear a mask, go ahead and do it. I'm not a big fan of the mask anymore because I do think we've had adequate resources to get people vaccinated. I think the vaccines are safe and effective, the Pfizer and Moderna at least. And I do think that if you protect yourself, you're going to do much better than if you don't. Unfortunately for kids, it's a little more difficult, but that's going to be on the parents. The parents need to decide.
Last question. I just wanted to get your thought very, very quickly about this shot at $1 million, shot for shot. They're giving out drinks. They're giving out money for people. I mean, I personally think I think we said gimmicky, right?
I think it's very gimmicky. I don't think you should have to pay somebody or encourage somebody with a financial or other type of incentive to do something for their own good.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time. This is the shortest we've ever been, but I thank
You're right.
you for it. We got it in. Talk to you guys later. Take care.